I want to start this off by saying that I love my Bambu printer, specifically the A1 Mini, because that little guy right there was my first introduction to 3D printing, and I probably wouldn't have it any other way. Like, the fact that it pretty much just works right out of the box with little to no understanding of what's even happening as a beginner was just amazing to me. And still is. But over time, some people start to dig deeper and want to know more about what's happening behind the scenes of everything, and for myself personally, the more I started to dig, the more I fucking hated it. Do you know that their G-code, the code that gets sent to your printer to tell it what to do and how to print a model, is a weird Frankenstein mess of Marlin and their own proprietary code? Like, as of reading this, there is no documentation, no wiki, no guides whatsoever that give you a general breakdown of what any of it does, unless you go out of your way, right, to spend what could be hours cross-referencing Marlin and experimenting on your own hardware, which could genuinely lead to damaging your own machine if you're not careful. Or, if you're lucky, right, you can find a user-created guide that breaks down some of the machine code, but did you know that it can actually kind of vary depending on the printer you have, like from the X1 to the A1 to the P1? It's so great. I fucking love it, dude. It's so cool. It's so fucking cool. Oh, and I guess the reason why I went on my way to do that was because in the default printer startup code, there is a specific line that checks to make sure you're using Bambu's proprietary build plates, and will refuse to print if the notch in the back is missing. I personally go out of my way to clean my nozzles before every print, so that little cleaning assembly in the back, yeah, that was just useless and redundant to my workflow. I didn't need it, so I just got rid of it, and now I can print on whatever build surface I want, without having to spend an annoying amount of money on shipping costs because Bambu refuses to sell majority of their printer parts or accessories at any local retailer near me. I swear to fuck, every time I go to microcenter, and a part of me is just ever so slightly hopeful, right? Thinking, oh, maybe they'll have something this time. No, they sell the most mundane parts. Oh, that's cool. I guess I can get a replacement touchscreen for my P1 series printer. Oh, that's cool. I guess I can buy a motor from one of the axes for another printer, like for the X1. That's cool. Why? I don't need... On a positive note, this also means I can just print on glass now, which I think is neat. What else? Oh yeah, orcaslicer is a godsend for those who don't really have any interest in interacting with Bambu's Maker World platform at all. And when you're using Bambu Studio, it takes forever to load, because I guarantee it's taking a lot of time just loading that fucking Maker World platform's featured content of the day, and the second it's unloading, I swear to fuck, I just go to the Prepare tab. I waited for nothing. I just think that's a waste of my time. So I just don't use it for that reason. But it's also not to ignore a lot of the quality of life changes that orcaslicer does provide. But my biggest reason for switching was the better performance and not having to wait for what felt like forever just for it to load and open up. What else? And I guess for the average user who just wants to print and not deep dive into mods or experimental stuff, a lot of what I'm saying just probably wouldn't matter at all. But I think what sucks about that is that I used to be the average user, right? I used to just find whatever STL looked neat and just printed it off with the default presets, oblivious to whatever the fuck was going on at a more technical level. But over time I just found it so interesting that I wanted to know more, and the more I knew, I only felt like I had to work even harder just to figure that out myself. And I'm sure the follow-up statement to that would just be, just get another printer that's open source. And, okay, yeah, sure. I'll get right on that with the money that I totally have and I'm willing to spend when I already have a functioning printer right next to me that, after what I've done to it, would avoid any warranty or returns. Yeah, I'll do that right away. Don't even worry about it, bud. I got a Bambu printer because I was so new to 3D printing as a whole that the fact that it just works was perfect for me, and now with the new privacy policy changes, it just makes me sad to think that the workflow I built up for myself, especially with orcaslicer, just meant nothing. That my genuine enthusiasm for this hobby was just shot down at a weirdly convenient time, might I add, after all the holiday sales finished up. I wonder what that's about. I think it's weird that anything I do with my printer will have to go through Bambu's own servers first. And I don't think it's paranoia when people assume or fear the worst when it comes to companies fucking with consumers' rights, when a handful are already actively doing this. For example, one thing I've seen come up a couple times, or a couple theories, is that Bambu already uses RFID tags on all their printer spools. What is stopping them from doing the same thing that HP did with their ink cartridges? Like, I think the whole situation is just so frustrating. Who's to say that they might flag G-code edits like mine that bypass the proprietary build plate checks? They could just see a specific line of code was modified and refuse to let me print anything at all, or just outright ignore my input and fill in whatever blanks they deem is missing. Like, this is ridiculous. I bought a machine, and it's now at the whims of the manufacturer. If the servers go down one day, I can't even use my printer. I would have to go out of my way to install a custom G-code, or not G-code, sorry, a custom firmware to be able to use it. And that's even hoping that someone can reverse engineer it to even let me do that. I'm at the whims of a fucking company that could just shut down at any time. And I think that's just so sad.